Good evening. So as the title suggests, tonight's video is all about the 20-minute neighbourhoods that they are proposing for Scotland and indeed the rest of the UK and probably Europe as well. Glasgow University are doing a project on the 20-minute neighbourhoods for Scotland. So they've made a video which is online, and they've made a questionnaire survey thing that you can go on and fill out for your area and your views on it. Basically, it starts off the video with what places can you visit within a 10-minute walk of your home. Now, obviously if you live right in the city centre, there's probably a few more places that you can go, but if you live outside of a city centre, anywhere like where I live, then we have within 10 minutes a corner shop which sells sweets, crisps, lottery tickets, cigarettes and newspapers. That's it. Even if you live somewhere where you have a bigger corner shop which sells cans of soup, eggs, bread, milk, that sort of stuff, I'm betting that it's a lot more expensive to buy those items in that type of shop than it is to go to a supermarket like Aldi or Lidl or Tesco, even somewhere like that. So I think that these 20-minute neighbourhoods for some of us are going to be a lot more expensive to live in than people living right in a city centre. It then goes on to say, many governments worldwide, including Scotland, are designing areas so that you can walk to a range of key places from your home. It was very kind of our unelected government to decide on a key range of places that we will be allowed to visit within 10 minutes of our homes. It then goes on to say this means that going shopping, to school, the doctor, visiting a park, or meeting friends would take 10 minutes to walk from your home and 10 minutes back again. I don't think that this is entirely accurate for a lot of people. For instance, how many people live within 10 minutes of all their friends and family? Probably not so many. And what about school? Do you have a school within 10 minutes of where you live? The doctor's surgery is at 10 minutes from where you live. I also think that when they came out with this idea, a lot of people thought, oh, a 20-minute neighbourhood, there's probably quite a few places I can go within 20 minutes, thinking they meant 20 minutes to a place and 20 minutes back. But now they seem to have changed that to you have 10 minutes to get to a place and 10 minutes to get back. This is called a 20-minute neighbourhood, they say. Well, that depends on the type of neighbourhood you live in. It could be like a 20-minute prison, really, couldn't it? Living locally can be good for our health. Well, again, if you're living in a high-rise block of flats, maybe not. And I wonder if the royals and all those members of parliament won't be travelling to all their second, third, fourth, fifth holiday homes, etc. then. If you can access lots of places within a short walk of your home, it encourages us to walk or cycle more on these journeys instead of using a car. We are constantly being told to be more inclusive, and yet this idea seems to be very exclusive of those people who can't walk or cycle to places instead of driving. The Scottish Government plan to apply the 20-minute neighbourhood concept nationally. So, as I was saying, maybe for someone living right in a city centre, 10 minutes to somewhere and 10 minutes back seems perfectly reasonable. But up north, how many places can you get to within 10 minutes of your home? And I know the idea is to force people to move back to big cities, but what if you just don't want to? What if you're quite happy living in rural Scotland and you don't want to move. It goes on to say, at the University of Glasgow, we have investigated the places that can be accessed within a 10-minute walk for all Scottish homes. And I'm sure they didn't need a study for the next part, but it says, we found large differences in access to key destinations for people living in urban or rural areas and between the most and least deprived areas of Scotland. And it goes on to say exactly what I said. For example, people living in inner city areas of Glasgow are able to access lots more within a 10-minute walk of their home than people in remote Highland areas. Again, I don't know how much they spent on this survey. So they've took the information and created an online map that lets you search for your house by putting in your postcode, and then it shows you whether you have a food shop, a park, a school, a cinema or a library within a 10-minute walk of your house. So this survey and map has allegedly been set up for young people, so they've got that it's just like using Google Maps. Put in your postcode to explore the places that you have near you and you can access locally. And interestingly, I put in my postcode and it came up with some interesting information. Apparently there's a healthy food retail within 10 minutes of my house, which, well, I've lived here for a number of years and I still haven't found that. Public transport, yes, well, that depends where you're going. High frequency public transport, if you don't mind waiting for an hour or two, yep. Primary health care, a doctor's surgery with a huge waiting list. Sport and recreation, well, there is a park. Primary school, yes, I don't know what you're supposed to do if you're in secondary school. Financial, yes, yes, there's a cash machine which charges you £1.90 to get your cash out. Pharmacy, no. So you can go to your doctor, but you can't get any medication. Access public open space, yes, there's a park. Social and culture, I'm not actually sure why that's got a yes. The only thing I can think of is a library smaller than my living room. Eating establishments, no, so you're not going out for anything to eat. Super fast broadband, very questionable. So basically stay in and go on the internet then, I guess. I'm not really sure what people are supposed to do if they have hobbies out with what's in their 10-minute area. Say, for example, they like to go hill walking or swimming or ice skating, and that's like a half-hour drive away or an hour's drive away. I'm assuming that they will be not able to do those things anymore. And like I said before, it's okay for those who are living in a really nice neighbourhood and they're quite happy with where they live, but for all the people who are living in high-rise flats or they live in a neighbourhood that's very deprived, this is going to be a lot harder than I think people anticipate. And also financially, this is going to be very expensive. Like I say, if you only have a corner shop near you, they will be charging a lot more than what you'll pay for those items in a supermarket. How are people going to afford this? I also find it interesting that they've limited this survey to a specific age group of between 12 and 18 years. They've not included anyone older than 18. So like I said before about maybe people who are older finding it harder to just walk everywhere or cycle everywhere, I've not managed to find out if they've got a survey running for older people as well. And of course, the point that they seem to have missed as well is that governments have spent years destroying the economy, and for that reason a lot of places in small towns have shut down and these towns are now ghost towns with nothing and nowhere to go. If you think about your neighbourhood, do you have everything that you could possibly need within 10 minutes walk or cycle of your house? I mean, for instance, in our neighbourhood there is no clothes shop. So we have to go outside of here if we want to buy clothes or shoes to wear. I'm assuming that's probably the same in some of the more rural areas as well. How many of us know of places that have been built, nice new build developments, where it's literally just houses? There is no shops, there's no schools, there's no nothing next to it. If those people don't drive, then they're not going anywhere. So how are these people going to manage with a 10-minute walk? A 10-minute walk will take them round about more houses, and that's it. And then, of course, if we team this up with the low emission zones and the charges that they are going to fine people for driving in certain areas if they don't have an electric car or a car that meets their standards, then it's going to become very expensive trying to travel anywhere with a car. And this isn't just going to be expensive in financial terms, this is going to cost people a lot of time as well. It's also very interesting that they are even running surveys at this point, because they've clearly already set out a strategy of how they're going to start building upon these neighbourhoods in which we're all to live. It's also interesting that on quite a few of the council websites, when they mention the 20-minute neighbourhoods, they mention resilient cities and resilient towns. Where did we hear that before? I will post some of the links that I've found in the comments below. 20-minute neighbourhoods. What do you think? Yes or no?